What's happening? This is the Tap In Podcast. We are live inside of the Tap In studio. Man, this is going to be something interesting today. So I got somebody on the show who I found on Instagram, and I was intrigued because he's a black scientist, right?
Yeah.
A black scientist. And I was like, okay, I need to talk to him. Now we have Olu Amusan on the show today. What's going on, man?
Awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you, man. Thank you for coming in, man.
Thanks for having me.
So let's jump into this, because when I seen your profile on Instagram, I was like, okay, black scientist, and then I started going down your videos and you were talking about AI, right?
Yep.
So can you first start off explaining what exactly is AI, artificial intelligence?
Awesome. So artificial intelligence is a field of computer science that actually deals with the simulation of intelligent behavior in machines.
Okay.
So we're trying to imitate human behavior. We're trying to get machines to imitate human behavior. So everything cognitive about us, the way we can see, the way we can hear, the way we can perceive our environment, the way we can navigate obstacles, the way we can recognize faces, all of that, we want to be able to make machines to do them so we can have time to do all the cool stuff.
Yeah. So name or give example that somebody AI that people are using every day that they probably wouldn't understand, like, oh, this is actually AI.
So, I mean, every single one of us probably has the iPhone, right? And we're like, we want to know the weather today, and we're like, hey, Siri, what's the weather today? That's AI. Because right there, we have a virtual assistant that is able to perceive the environment, knows what's going on, can recognize our voice as a name, and then can respond to us. It can set alarms. We don't have to say, set an alarm for me. We just say, wake me up at 4:30. And then it knows you're saying 4:30 in the morning. So that's some intelligent behavior in that machine, which is your iPhone.
Wow. And I know we was talking off camera. You said the AI is something like it's virtually new, right, into the market space, right?
Yeah, so AI in itself as a concept is as old as computing itself. Because since the first computers were created, the conversations around whether computers could think started, but they couldn't do anything about it. So over the years, as computing power increased, and in the recent decade especially, because of computing power and storage and all of that, we are now able to realize the dreams of artificial intelligence. So we can say all of the things that we're seeing only started happening within the last 10 years.
Right. Dang. And then also, I know on the you are a AI consultant, right?
That's right.
Okay. And you're pushing other people to get into AI consulting as well, right?
That's right.
You have a business that you operate out of, or?
Yes, I actually run a company called Coven Works.
Okay.
The company basically is, we have an obsessive mission, and I say obsessive because we're so passionate about it. We have an obsessive mission to build tomorrow's workforce. So about 3 years ago, while I was at Microsoft, I stumbled on a Gartner report. And this report says that by the year 2020, which we're in right now, there's going to be a huge demand for artificial intelligence engineers and data scientists all around the world. And then I saw a huge opportunity to be able to plug into a business that trains and empowers people to become data scientists and artificial intelligence engineers.
Goodness. Dang. And how did you get into it? How did you start? What was your introduction into science or engineering?
All right. So first, okay, I have a science background because I studied computer science for my bachelor's.
Okay.
All right. And at first I thought I was going to do biological sciences, but eventually I just found my love for computers and I started programming at like the age of 15, and so when I finished college, I worked on a project with the World Bank, to create an interactive conference room back in the university I attended in Nigeria. So after then, I used to have this radio show that basically talked about like fulfillment and all of that. And then Microsoft announced this role in Nigeria that would focus on training people on technology skills. Now, a few years earlier, I became a good rebel in my department of computer science because we were being taught Fortran 77, which is a programming language like from the 70s, instead of like Visual Basic or Java that is, current.
Yeah.
So we became, we're like, no way, we're not going to do this. So we started a group of good rebels and started teaching ourselves C#, Java, Visual Basic. It was around the year that Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook. So we asked ourselves, what can we create with Fortran 77? This is an obsolete programming language. So fast forward 4 or 5 years down the line, Microsoft wanted to do the same thing across Nigeria and across sub-Saharan Africa to train young people on technology skills, and I was just the fit for that job.
Okay. How long did you work for Microsoft?
About 5 years.
Really? In Nigeria?
In Nigeria. So I was reporting to Redmond in Seattle, but that's where the whole thing stems from. But my work was focused on Nigeria and some parts of West Africa.
Goodness gracious. That is outstanding. Like, it's crazy because I didn't even know that you can even be in another country. Well, I guess I did know that you could be in another country and work in the United States. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. Okay. And then your company teaches people how to get involved in AI consulting?
That's right.
Okay.
So we believe very strongly that over the past 10 years, and in fact, let's say the last 20 years, artificial intelligence has basically focused on the engineers, the people who create the technology, and understandably so, right? But the people who should be using the technology are not getting enough, understanding of this AI technology. So many things are stuck in research, but they don't get onto production. So our work as AI consultants is to be able to bridge the gap and be able to demonstrate to businesses how they can apply theoretical artificial intelligence into practical bottom line of their businesses.
Got you. So let me ask you this on the because I feel like with AI there's two sides, right? You could be the business side, the inventor, right? Or you could be the person who actually works for the company that is implementing the technology. If somebody wants to get involved on the business side, right? How do they get the talent? How do they find the talent? Because maybe like somebody like me, like I'm not an inventor, I'm not, you know what I mean? But I want to invest in the technology to be able to be a part of that boom when it comes. How do I do that? How do I get involved in that?
That is the smart thing to do right now. So we're seeing a lot of AI technology acquisition by regular business people, mainstream business people who are like, hey, if we missed the .com revolution, if we missed, the social media revolution, we mustn't miss this revolution of artificial intelligence, the age of intelligence. So one of the ways to get started first is to understand the basics of artificial intelligence yourself, at least not necessarily the engineering, but to be able to know what are the business use cases of artificial intelligence. And when you know those business use cases, you partner with a company like mine that basically provides talent to top companies to augment the work that you're trying to do. So what we do is that we create a strategy. We create an AI strategy around what you're trying to do. We formulate your strategy, understand the use cases that you want to work on. It could be that you like driverless cars. So that's autonomous vehicles, right? Or it could be that you like virtual assistants. You want to create another Alexa or another Siri, right? It could be that you want to do surveillance or image recognition on the highways. Whatever technology, it could be in transportation, it could be in health, it could even be in finance, like predicting stock prices or being able to invest more intelligently or generate market insights. So when you determine which use case that you want to focus on, then we'll provide you the advisory that is necessary. The beautiful thing is that companies like McKinsey and Company, Boston Consulting Group, KPMG. They are the top organizations around the world now, but you need top dollar to be able to work with those people.
Yeah.
So we're working with small and medium scale businesses across the United States to serve them and help them to get in early on this fourth industrial revolution.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think about Tesla?
They are amazing. I mean, Elon Musk is amazing. So when several of the mainstream manufacturers like Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, and Volvo, when they were still like not sure whether driverless cars were going to be a thing, real quickly, Elon Musk boldly invested in Tesla and created Tesla. And today, most of the mainstream manufacturers are already creating their semi-autonomous vehicles. And the only thing in their way right now is just policy, and bias, algorithmic bias, the fact that these algorithms that are driving these cars, are they safe enough? Concerns around, do they recognize black people?
Yeah.
Are they built to understand our environment in the way they should?
Right.
And one of my friends and great inspiration within the industry, Joy Bolwani, actually did a research recently that put all the big companies on their toes, because she showed them that within their algorithm, that's the program that runs their AI, there is some implicit bias right in there that does not favor black people.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. And she challenged them, and many of them had to slow down on their programs and really reconsider. So talking about Tesla is one of the leading ones as far as their driverless vehicle AI systems are concerned. But several other companies are also racing really hard to make sure that in the near future we can have a completely hands-free car in our neighborhood that everybody feels safe around.
Yeah, and I even seen that that Elon Musk was building like an 18-wheeler for like shipping trucks, like 18-wheelers, and he's essentially gonna put truck drivers out of business because they're gonna be all automated where they don't need drivers.
It's a very, very serious socio-political concern about jobs, and that's why we need to really work on like the middle skill gap, that's going to be happening. And you see, anytime there's a shift from one industrial revolution to another, there's always a loss of jobs.
Yeah.
But there will also be a gain of jobs.
Right.
So what I realized is that the government and the entrepreneurs themselves needs to be socially responsible enough to prepare these drivers for what is coming.
Right.
They need to re-educate them. They need to compensate them for what is about to happen. Because when the first Ford vehicles came on the scene, it took people who used to take care of horses, it took them out of business. So this is bound to happen.
Yeah.
Change cannot be stopped.
Right.
But as responsible governments, what are we going to do? Because these are parents, they're people's parents, and they need to take care of their family. So what are we going to do to make sure that they are retrained? And it's not just truck drivers that will lose their jobs. Bankers, insurance adjusters.
Yeah.
All of these people are also going to lose their jobs to artificial intelligence if we're not careful. It's only creative things like podcasting, like, artistry, like composing songs. Even right now, AI can compose songs, but at least to a certain extent. So things that have to do with creativity, that have to do with intuition, empathy, love, care. These are things that are difficult to replace.
Right.
But anything that has to do with calculations, mathematics, AI will easily, be able to replace them. So we have to begin to think about what our species will continue to do as jobs when all of these jobs are gone.
Yeah, that's scary. that is scary. And you were telling me that is a difference between AI and augmented reality.
Yeah.
Can you explain the difference again?
Yeah, so, they all fall in the space of emerging technologies that are going to change everything. So with augmented reality, you are able to superimpose a virtual world on top of the real world. So you could be sitting here right now, and then you could have a table that is cleared, but you can actually deal with some maybe engineering components and some tools or have a laptop that is virtual on your table and operate it. Now, they work hand in hand because artificial intelligence is actually something that would empower augmented reality.
Okay.
So the spaces that we're creating in the virtual world, we need to build some form of intelligence into them. I'll give you an example of where augmented reality and AI work together to create something we called mixed reality.
Okay.
So recently in Vegas, sometimes last year, Microsoft demoed a 3D hologram of one of their executives. She was speaking English, and simultaneously, the 3D hologram, which looks exactly like her, wearing the same clothes as her, was interpreting and translating it to Japanese. So if she had to speak in a Japanese conference, the artificial intelligence is translating it
in real time?
In real time as she's speaking, and then the augmented reality is what is projecting our image, creating what we call mixed reality for the people who are in the audience. So it will get to a time where it will be a waste to learn Mandarin or to learn Japanese or to learn, because right now Microsoft says their speech to text or speech translator AI has a 98% accuracy. Human parity, meaning that it's that good, to be able to translate. So we're going to get to that point. Anything that has patterns, anything that has mathematics, computers are better at it than humans.
Right. Because you eliminate the human error of it, right? And you just plug in numbers and wow. So in the future, podcasting, you could not really be here, and we can be projecting your image somewhere?
Absolutely. So in the future, or in the very near future, because with the Microsoft HoloLens 2 and some of the other devices out there right now, like the Oculus, you can actually, be in different places, project that like you're sitting together, give your audience the feeling like you're together. They will still be able to tell, but we can create 3D models of ourselves, 3D holograms of ourselves doing this job. Now, this is what is interesting. What is interesting is that we can train artificial intelligence to listen to every single episode that you've worked on over the past 4 or 5 years, train it on that such that you can tell the AI, today we're going to be speaking about artificial intelligence. And the mixed reality device will not only create your 3D hologram, but it will synthesize your voice and create a 30 minutes discussion with you sipping pina colada somewhere on the beach.
Are you serious?
I tell you. That's where we're going to.
Damn. That's be crazy. How much is this? How much would that cost in technology? Like, will it be embedded like in the cameras, or what would it be to actually put that on like YouTube or something? How would that? How would you film that?
Yeah. So today, just like every other form of technology, when it comes out, it's expensive, right? So these HoloLens, these augmented reality devices, probably cost like $3,500 a piece right now. But as time goes on, they'll become smaller and they'll become cheaper and affordable for everybody to be able to do. As of today, if we wanted to create what I just said now, it would be a project that would hire engineers specifically to build our own proprietary technology, spend like $50,000 just to create that.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just be doing that to show people what the future is going to look like.
That it can be done.
But we have to get to a point where we can do it seamlessly and achieve that with just $100, with a bunch of software out there that can make that happen. Today, we have technology that can take 100, 200 of your videos and actually create a simulation of you talking and saying things that you didn't say. They're called deep fakes.
I have seen that somewhere.
Yeah.
And you know what's scary too is these apps where you can put people's faces on other people's bodies.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
That is crazy as hell. Where and people are you taking it's all in fun and it's a social media thing, but at some point you're gonna be able to put your face in real time you're gonna be able to do that in real time, and nobody's gonna know that you're not even there.
It's crazy, and that's why what we're doing right now around some form of digital forensics is to be able to make sure that as we create AI that can do that, we also have AI that can reverse engineer that. Because that's the only way you can keep the world together. Otherwise, there's going to be a lot of propaganda, and people are going to create things that will, sway thousands and millions of people, particularly in politics, without actually pushing fake news and all those kind of things like that. So we're in a world where we need to drive the boundaries of ethics in our society and really be able to guard what the things that are really important to us so that we can preserve our humanity as technology grows.
Yeah, because like you said, love, caring, all those things, you can't duplicate that, you know what I mean, in AI. So that's going to be difficult to even implement inside of any kind of robot or any kind of AI or something like that, man. And then also I seen on your Instagram where you're having a meeting this morning with, I guess, students or people in Nigeria about actually relocating to the U.S., Canada, and Europe. What was that about?
Yeah, so this morning I was hosting about 2,500 young professionals in Nigeria. My company is a global outsourcing company that is creating pathways for talents around the world to experience a frictionless encounter with new emerging careers. So countries like the United States have a deficit. They are lacking enough engineers. That's the truth, right?
Yeah.
Every single year in 2018 alone, only 40% of all the job vacancies in technology that were advertised were filled in the United States. Only 40% in 2018. So it means that there is an opportunity. And countries like Nigeria and other countries around the world where technology is universal, Python is the same, artificial intelligence is the same, they can become exporters of that skill. So I was talking to those 2,500 people this morning that if you get the right skills, you can become so valuable that you can either be hired by American companies, European companies, and you can bring your GDP per capita back home to where you are, and it becomes a win-win situation.
Right.
Because America is filling those roles, and other countries, the United Kingdom, they're filling those roles, and you also are bringing in something back home to basically headquarter to build. So Africa should no longer just be considered as a place for raw materials, for minerals, because nobody prospers by just selling raw materials like crude oil. We need to export our intellectual capacity and demonstrate to the world that talent is indeed universal.
Right. Yeah. So at what age do you think people or kids should start getting into, and what courses do they need to get in to start moving to that? Because I feel like if this is a technology that is emerging, they need to start now so they can be, I guess, in that class of other engineers, right?
Yes.
So what classes or what courses should kids be taking, and at what age should they start around?
Yeah, so one of the things I am advocating, for example, in the DFW, is a program called Code in the DFW. And what we're trying to do around the Dallas-Fort Worth area is to identify communities that are underserved so that we can provide them with support. I currently teach computer science in a school far away in Alabama with a computer virtually without actually being there. And I teach programming every Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So in the same way, we need to get several volunteers who can work with kids from like the age of 6 and 7 to start learning about computer programming, because that's the foundation for artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So there has to be an increased investment across the municipalities, across the independent school districts, across the DFW. Businesses, small and large businesses, have to invest in these new technologies and make sure that these kids all around the schools are getting familiar, not just with arts, not just with sports. All those are beautiful, not just with music, but also with computing and with programming, because that's the future. And China is not stopping.
Right.
China is not stopping. These guys are working really hard, and they're eating the United States cake simply because we're neglecting all those things around STEM. So we need to get back to the basics.
Yeah, man. And one thing that I honestly, truthfully, probably even heard of STEM programs, probably like 2 years ago, where you can actually go and learn how to program without even taking an official course. But there's people who will teach you to how to program, how to do things like that. And I was like, yeah, I never knew anything about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's I want to I'm gonna see what we'll talk after this.
Yeah.
We'll talk after this.
We need to spread the awareness with more people, particularly people in business, to be able to see, hey, this is how technology can impact your business bottom line. You can transform things. A lot of organizations still need digital transformation. They still do a lot of things manually. They need to automate things more so they can spend more productive time doing innovative thinking and spend time with their family and just allow technology to do most of those things.
Yeah. I think most people are afraid of the new technology too, especially business owners. If they're used to running it one way and actually come in and change, most of them are afraid of implementing a computer, you know what I mean, to actually do the work for that, or to do the work for that, taking the replacement of a actual person. You know what I mean? But I think it will, like you said, it will take away jobs, but it also enhance more jobs as well. You know what I mean?
That's right. We just need to find out which jobs are going to be emerging so we can retrain ourselves. This is a generation that has to adapt itself to these new technologies. We need to retrain. We need to reskill ourselves. Some of us are going to have multiple careers within a lifetime. We need to be ready. We need to be swift.
Right.
We need to have that dexterity to be able to change ourselves, for what is coming, rather than being afraid of the change, because change will definitely come. Change will come. It is who we are that's going to determine whether or not we're going to be ready for it.
Yeah, man. And also, I know you're Nigerian, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And also, I know I've been seeing a lot of stuff going on in Nigeria. The SARS. What? Can you explain to me what it is? I know it's some kind of corruption, and it's almost identical to what's going on in the United States, but I feel like it's even worse in Nigeria that's going on. What exactly is the SARS?
Yeah, I mean, it was established as the Special Anti-Robbery Squad.
Okay.
Which basically is supposed to deal with crimes like robbery and very tough crimes like that. They were set up to do that, but over the past decade, they have been involved in a lot of dehumanizing acts, acts of police brutality against young people specifically.
Yeah.
Because they are not just okay with the way young people are finding alternative ways of income. For example, they can't understand why you should wear dreadlocks, have a computer and an iPhone, and drive your own car as a 22-year-old. They do not understand why that should be happening. And because they don't understand, then they will pick you up, beat you up, take you to their ATM, check your phone, find out what your balance is because of your bank messages, and then they will take you there to withdraw money, and they will still beat you up seriously. If you don't have money, they will take you to the police station and make your parents come bail you, all kind of things like that, because they can't fathom how exactly these young people, creatives especially, are living their lives. So I've had my own scenarios where they actually took me to the ATM to withdraw money for them. And this money isn't going to the government coffers or anything. It's going into their own pockets. I've had my employees harassed several times, taken away to places. They shoot people, kill people if you don't give them money. And because they are a rogue part of the Nigerian police force, young people got to their last of it, and we're like, no, this is not going to continue. Because for the past 3-4 years, each time they spoke up against the government or against the police about this, they would simply change the name of that unit without actually reforming the police. So this time again, when the young people came out, within a day or two, they changed the name again to SWAT. But changing the name won't change anything.
Right.
And the issues are interwoven. There are other issues about the fact that these policemen are actually not well treated as well. Maybe they have psychological conditions that are not being taken care of. They're not being well paid. But it's the responsibility of the commander-in-chief of the government to be able to actually do the right thing and reform the police and make sure that the young people who are the future of that country are not being killed. So that's what all of that movement is about, and it got even worse over the past few days.
Yeah,
and it's just been it's still ongoing actually.
Yeah, and there's not anything like because I know the laws of the United States and the way this country is ran is totally different from Nigeria. Is there anything like where an attorney or a law or anybody that they can hold people accountable for doing things like that?
Yeah, so everything still boils down to whether the judicial system is working and there is a willpower to prosecute and enforce the law. So in Nigeria, that has really not been happening. Many of these policemen even say it right in the face of video cameras that they will shoot you, and there's nothing anybody will do about it.
Damn.
So there's been this continuous culture of impunity that actually has to stop.
Yeah.
So today we have heard things like governors saying that they've set up judicial councils to investigate the issues and bring to book all of those people who have been doing all that. But so many lives have been lost, and there is still no willpower per se from the presidency to transform this, at least not until this morning.
Yeah. And the United States will be a fucking hypocrite if they go over there and try to do anything. You know what I mean?
I think for once, this is the one time that the United States hasn't been able to talk because in recent times, we've all seen what's going on here as well.
Yeah.
So they have not been able to. I mean, the international community, a few people, leaders around the world have actually condemned the act and sort of like called the president to order. But in his last speech 2 days ago, which is one of the reasons why I organized the workshop that I did this morning, he literally called off their bluff and said the international community should look away.
What?
Oh, yeah.
God damn.
Oh, yeah.
And they actually said that.
I mean, he implied that.
Yeah.
His words were like, so we want to say to our neighbors, and we want to tell them, I paraphrase now, we want to tell them to basically look very deep into the facts of the matter before they pass any form of judgment. I mean, that's the way to tell them to just F off. You know?
Yeah. Shit, man. That is, it's fucking sad, man. It's fucking sad that you, as a human being, you kind of entrust the government to, I guess, look over the people of the, you know what I mean? And it's like the same thing is going on in the United States. And it's like, it's fucking, and from what I heard that it was already, corruption is like big.
Oh, yeah.
In Nigeria, where I've heard that part of it.
You know what the young people said? They're like, you don't give us water, we build our own boreholes and wells. You don't give us food, we work hard, we get our food. You don't give us roads, we build our roads. You don't give us housing, we build our housing. All we're asking is let us live.
Right.
Don't kill us.
Right.
Like already, our parliament is one of the most paid in the world. One of the highest paid in the world. Our parliament, our politicians, they're some of the highest paid in the world. Unnecessary allowances.
Yeah.
Money that should be used in healthcare and education and infrastructure is being diverted just to take care of a select few. And all that has to change.
God damn. Yeah, it definitely does. It 100% does. Now, tell me about the books that you have here.
Awesome. Yeah, so, I mean, I brought this for you, actually. This first one right here is A to Z of AI Consulting.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a book I put together to basically demonstrate to business leaders 26 artificial intelligence ideas for business. So today, if you wanted to say, oh, where do I even start from to make my business competitive, one of the things to do is to get this book and basically look at it. It's up there on Amazon. And second one is a book I wrote.
Let me see that?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, the AFZ of AI Consulting. Let me get that to the camera right there. And people can order this?
Oh yeah, people can find it on Amazon. It's right there, and we've been getting a lot of feedback, very beautiful feedback about it.
Okay, yeah, I'm definitely gonna read this, and I'm gonna have my son read this too. Yeah, okay. All right, and what's the other one?
And the other one is called "Are You Branded or Stranded?" It's a play of words right there.
I like that.
"Are You Branded or Stranded?" is a book I wrote about 10 years ago, the first edition, and I basically wrote it when I was in college, and there was one of these strike actions, by Nigerian universities. They were basically talking to government about doing better for them in terms of benefits and compensation. And I had time on my hands to basically write about, two zones that exist in life. You're either responding to life or you're reacting. If you cooperate with life, you will be able to make better things out of life than if you're always reacting to life. Yeah. So it's a very interesting book that has gotten a lot of accolades. I've won awards because of it. And in 2020, I actually edited and wrote some new chapters in it to basically show a new face. It still carries the simplicity that it used to carry, but it's a book that everybody should actually take a look at.
Okay, all right. Are you branded or stranded?
That's
okay,
right.
Let me see that. That's a cool title. Are you branded or stranded? And give people the bam. Okay, and so tell me, I'm fascinated now on your background. Like, are you only child, or you have brothers and sisters, or?
We actually have brothers. We're four boys, and I'm the first of the 4 children. My dad used to be a teacher, but now he's still an educationist. He runs a school, but also he's involved in community leadership and some politics.
Okay.
Oh yeah, so I've been seeing all of that leadership and volunteering from a really young age. My mom is an health information officer at an hospital.
Okay.
So I was a child when she was an health record officer. Now she's gone through the ranks to become a director of health records at one of the teaching hospitals. So she teaches health information and archival studies, which is actually a foundation for data science and what I'm doing today.
Yeah, okay. Because I'm always interested in, what moves people to actually do what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, what actually pushes you to even be so passionate about either AI or, you know what I mean? What makes you even good? So let's start here. What was your the how do I want to say this? What was your experience like coming to the United States, right? Because you said you came here when 5-6 years ago, right?
Yes, I first came here 5 years ago.
Okay, so what was that experience like trying to come in? Because I always hear that it's difficult to get into United States.
Well, you can say that. So when I was 7, I read the book by Ben Carson. That gives you an idea how young I am. I read a book by Ben Carson called Gifted Hands. My mom basically was selling inspirational books at the time, so she gave me the book to read, and that's the first time I got, an inkling of the United States and the dreams and how he became a neurosurgeon and all these kind of things, right?
Yeah.
And then I went into STEM and science eventually, and then I, landed this job at Microsoft, just as I told you. So coming into the United States for me wasn't like every
easy.
other immigrant. It was, it was different because I'm in a specialty occupation, that is needed, around the United States, which is technology, software engineering, and all of that. So it wasn't so difficult. I came in first with a tourist visa, and went back and forth before now, having to run my business as a U.S. company. So, it's really a question of perspective. So people travel from all over the world. They love to come to the United States, the land of dreams, the home of the brave, but it's really a question of perspective. If someone is a literary icon in their country, the United States is going to invite them over for a fellowship and want to keep them rather than having China keep them.
Right.
If someone is an engineer or poet, they're going to bring them over because they have the talents. And I would say that that's the privilege that I think Providence has granted me as well.
Okay. And what's the school that you went to in Nigeria that you got your bachelor's from? What was the name of it?
It's called the Federal University of Technology in Akure.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's one of the leading universities of technology in the country. They're very passionate. I'm actually going back to that university to establish, a center for artificial intelligence, hopefully in a few months, and it's probably one of the first shows I'm going to talk about that actually, because we've been like in talks with the university to partner with them to do some amazing things. So talking about going back and forth and giving back, that's really what I am. What I enjoy the most is the best of both worlds. To be able to invest back in Africa, because Africa deserves it, and Africa gave me this opportunity, but also to be able to get the best of the United States in terms of its technological advancement and how fun its people are and how, free the country is.
Yeah. Man, I'm going to tell you, and I know we want to talk about the AI, but I'm so intrigued about Africa and the continent, right? But the different parts of the country, like what in Nigeria, right? Like, are there? Because I always hear that there's different tribes in Nigeria. What's the biggest tribe? Is it? I think it's Olu. No, that's your name. What's a tribe in Nigeria? Dang, I can't remember. Okay. Well, are you from a specific tribe?
Oh yeah. So I mean, in Nigeria there are over 200 ethnic groups.
Okay.
And dialects and languages, but there are major tribes are Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba.
Yeah, Igbo and Yoruba. Okay. Are you from any of?
Yes, I'm Yoruba.
Yoruba. Okay. I need to figure out, because I feel like I don't know. I need to do like an African ancestry or something.
Absolutely.
To figure out.
I mean, there's a show on Netflix right now that talks about the story of the journey of an African colony, and it was explaining the fact that it would have been beautiful if every black person, like in the West, is able to tell what part of the world that they're part of and all of that, and that would be really super interesting from an ancestry standpoint. Who knows whether you're Yoruba or you're Igbo or you're Hausa?
Yeah,
so that'd be interesting.
I want to figure that out. Yeah. And what do you think about this is something that just popped up. What do you feel like that Akon is doing in Senegal, where he's gonna build his own city? What do you think about that?
Well, I wouldn't say that I understand all of the sentiments behind trying to create that, but I think anything that involves an African or someone of African descent going back to Africa to build something and create something that provides prosperity for all is actually a great idea, and I think it's totally welcome. I think the world has taken a lot from Africa already, and it's actually time to be able to give back to it. Genuinely.
Yeah. And I feel like everybody that I've heard talk about Africa, it was like Africa right now is a good place to invest in. And I heard like China is super heavily invested in Africa right now, because they're just giving loans, and it's almost like a back way of them trying to own Africa, I guess. They're giving loans to like different businesses and people that are in Africa, and from what I hear, it's like they don't even want the money back. They're just like, you know what? we'll just acquire that land or that business from you, and you can own it. You don't have to pay us back. But it's their way of actually trying to immigrate or migrate to Africa a little bit from China, and then their exports. 'Cause I know United States was a big export to China, but now it's starting to flip a little bit. Where now they're sending all their goods to Africa, and there's like somebody told me like, man, you can go to Africa and do the exact same thing that you're doing in the United States and become a millionaire like in 2 and 3 years.
Absolutely, because there's a lot of like similarities. But I mean, look, what China is doing isn't different from what the United Kingdom or the United States has done the past 100 years as well. It's just that Africa needs to care about itself. Everybody else thinks Africa is big deal except Africans themselves. So that's what is going on, because if you understand your true value, then you're not going to sell cheap to anybody.
Right.
So that's what I'm seeing, and that's part of my own personal commitment, to be able to see how we can get more Africans to be able to realize their potential, and more African countries to be able to see that, look, what we're asking for is fair trade. I mean, it's not like don't do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. Do business.
Right.
If you want to acquire land, but let it be fair trade. Right. Let there be, stories or anecdotes and story of Africans coming to the United States to also dominate.
Right.
Let it be fair. Let there be fair markets. Don't play Big Brother.
Right.
For anybody, because the world is changing. So, but these are very deep conversations, because when you look back into this, because I used to be in philanthropy as well. So if you think about the issue of aid and all of those things, I mean, there's not enough time today to really go deep into that, because when you think about the issue of aid and think about like, what Africa is getting in return as well and all of that, those are some of the things that are, shutting the eyes of many of the leaders to be able to see that this is us selling our future, and there has to obviously be something else that I've done. So I care about like fair trades, what the World Trade Organization is doing, to make sure trade is actually fair, and hoping that the Nigerian contender for the seat of the Director General of the World Trade Organization, who is also interestingly American, will be able to emerge as the DG of the World Trade Organization, because Africa needs a very strong seat in that particular corridor.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get your perspective. What do you think about, what is your perspective on slavery? Because I always, and I'm interested to know, because somebody who is born here in the United States, right? My perspective of slavery is a certain way, but I want to get somebody how do you mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm 30.
30? Okay. So, and I guess apartheid was a part of the African, the part of African culture in that continent. But what is your perspective on slavery? You not being from United States, but you going through apartheid, or you kind of young to really experience that, right?
Yeah, you're correct.
You kind of like me, like you hear it, right? But you don't really. I know I'm gonna speak for me. I really don't understand it, but it is kind of like, yo, that's part of my ancestry's history. So, what is your take on slavery? What is your perspective on slavery in the United States?
I mean, except for if we want to move away from like the modern definition of slavery in modern times, because slavery has several ramifications in modern times. But if we're talking about like the old, ugly slave trade and everything, I would say, just as you said, I met it as history as well. But in every single part of it, I saw it as ugly, as something condemnable, as something inhuman. It should never have happened, But today, what is even more disgusting is that all of that old experience is still implicitly, common in the society today, despite the fact that actual slave trade is gone. People are still not equal. It is in our creed that all men are to be born equal or treated equal, but that is not happening, and despite the fact that, it's been, 100 years since maybe the abolishment of slave trade of several 100 years, we are still seeing, patches of, ill treatment across the United States. I remember the other day I was driving, and some guy, was one of the first few months of me relocating here, and some young guy, because he thought maybe I didn't drive in a certain way. It was in the street, and we were moving into a new house or moving out of a house, and then just because I apologized to him, because after everything happened, because I opened the door of the truck and he was like startled, and I stopped to apologize to him, and the next thing from him is, you better go back to wherever you're from. I'm like, who does that in 2020?
Yeah.
So this is something that was ugly. It's something that should never happen. But what is even sad is that there is still implicit bias. There's still racism, in the way, and it's not condemned at the highest levels. The president doesn't talk about it. Doesn't condemn white supremacists. It doesn't, it doesn't feel. I mean, maybe he feels something's wrong with it, but it doesn't publicly profess that it is wrong. All of that is there. But what I'm even really keen about is the definition of modern slavery. It's actually how, companies in the United States and in Europe and around the world are not sensitive to their supply chain, to where their minerals come from, to where their raw materials come from, to where the iPhone actually comes from. Look at the crisis going on in Congo right now. You're over coltan and cobalt and all of those minerals that are in huge quantity on the continent of Africa. Companies around the world, for the purpose of sustainability and fair trade and responsible sourcing, must be careful about who is in their supply chain and how are those things being done. Because when you have children in their thousands and millions working in mines just so that people in the West can use an iPhone, that is completely not balanced.
Yeah.
And think about trafficking as well, sexual trafficking, every form of trafficking, every form of slavery. And injustice to one is actually injustice to all.
Absolutely, man. And before we get out of here, because we're gonna wrap this up in a little while, it was something that you said before we got on camera that it's been like a talk, right? It's been conversation about black people from the United States moving to Africa or a country in Africa, right? And I know the kind of conversation about it is that Africans that are born in Africa don't really like American Africa or American blacks, right? But everybody who I've talked to that comes from some country in Africa, they always say the opposite. They always like, listen, if you go to Africa, any country in Africa, the Africans there are going to love you. They're going to love you because, one, to them you have an accent, right? And then everybody that either born in Africa and that came back, they're Americanized and westernized, and they're just like, oh, okay, he just must have went to the United States and then came back, and they're going to assume the same thing about you, so they're going to brace you the same exact way as like you're one of them, right? And I kind of want to like push that narrative that, no, if you go back to Africa, the Africans there, the people who are there, they're going to embrace you like you're one of their own. And it's not where, and here's what one of the guys that I used to work with, he told me, he says, Africans, when they come to the United States, it's not that they don't like black Americans, it's that black Americans are so fucking, they're so rude to the Africans that come here, and then that's where they develop that hate once they get here for them, because black Americans, I don't know why, but it's like something innate where we hate on something that's closer to us. You know what I mean?
It's an irony.
Yes, it's like somebody who's an alcoholic, right? Who do you hurt the most? The people who live with you. You know what I mean? And it's like when Africans come here, instead of embracing them and really find out about their culture, where they're from, because I feel like for black people here in America, that is the motherland. That's where we originated from. And instead of downing them, you should embrace them to find out where they come from, what it's like back at home. But instead we do the opposite, and then that's where the people who move from Africa, those countries here, that's where they develop the hate from. That's where they develop like, oh, black Americans ain't shit. They're lazy. They're this. You know what I mean? That's where they develop that, because it's only, listen, if you punch me, I'm gonna punch you. You know what I mean? And then that's where they get that kind of back and forth from. But I want to change the narrative, or I want to at least bring awareness to it that, yo, if you go to Africa, you're gonna be embraced.
Absolutely.
You're gonna be embraced heavily there.
They're gonna give you a name. I mean, I'll probably just give you a Mecca once you move to Nigeria, and nobody would have an idea that you are American.
Really?
They're just gonna assume that you're a Nigerian who spent some time in the United States, and that's why you have the accent, because you look exactly just like us.
Right.
You know, and then once you start wearing the traditional attires, they won't even know you just moved back or anything. So the point is that we're very welcoming people. Africans are very welcoming people, and they're very loving people, and all of the bias that you just talked about originates from just minor misunderstanding here and there that has grown over a period of time. You know, but generally, I mean, they think positive. We think positive of every native black American.
Absolutely, man. Yo, man, thank you, Olu, man. Thank you for the books. I'm definitely reading these. I appreciate you for tapping in with me, man.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, this was dope. This is like real informative, and I can't wait to see like what the technology is in the next 5 to 10 years.
I definitely look forward as well. I mean, most times you never can predict technology correctly. You can only hope that some of the things you're aspiring for are going to be, because most times it would be better than every single iota of prediction that we give to it.
Yeah, man. Thank you. What's your like, if your Instagram, that people want to actually start get a hold of you, or if they want to do something, how do they get a hold of you?
All right, so my Instagram is my first name and last name, which is Olusola, then Amusan. That's Olusola on Instagram.
Okay. And the website for your company, or
the website for my company is www.covenworks.com.
Okay.
You're right, and then you can find these books on Amazon.
Okay. Yo, man, thank you, Olu. I appreciate you, man.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome. I love it. I'm tapping.
Thank you. Yes, right. Yo, man, this has been the Tap In Podcast, man. Holla.